Okay, do you have the candles?
Yes, I've got the candles. Expensive, fancy ones from the shops. Seemed appropriate.
But they're black, right?
Oh, they're black,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But, they're the ones from those fancy shops that sell them at a huge markup.
Okay, and I managed to get some blood from the butchers.
Oh, lovely. That'll do just fine.
Okay, and you've got the sacrifice?
Yes, I've got the sacrifice ready to go.
And you're sure Tofurky will be fine?
I'm sure it'll be fine,
Okay.
I hear demons are all into it these days.
Okay. Well, I'll get the book. Come forth, O dark demon, and do my bidding. I command you to remain within the circle, with the lighting of these candles at the point of the star.
Right, what do you want me to do?
You're the all-powerful demon.
Yeah, I'm a demon. What do you want?
And you're capable of large-scale destruction.
Oh, yeah.
You can really shake things up, cause
Yeah.
a lot of disturbance.
It's what I do.
Okay, and that's brilliant. Now, how do you feel about overthrowing capitalism for me?
I'm really sorry, someone already made me do capitalism. Why do you think everything's getting so terrible out there in the first place?
But we summoned you and now we have control over you, so off you go, get rid of that capitalism.
Okay, I'll get rid of capitalism, but you know that friends over in the CEO offices will have me back in no time.
Look, that's assuming that we dispel you at any point. Or you could just do our will and then take all of the capitalists and torture them forever.
What do I get out of this that, I could be torturing everyone?
Or you could torture Jeff Bezos, a man so privileged that he would never expect and never understand the torture, the endless eternal torture that he would suffer as a result of it. Think about it, like, most millennials these days are already just so used to just the grueling punishment under capitalism. You, in fact, could have somebody who it would come as a total surprise to and be totally horrified by the whole experience.
I'm starting to come around to this idea.
Excellent. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers, that podcast where two queer trans ladies talk about our weeks and have a bit of a catch-up and do some skits and silly voices.
It's us.
It's us. How are you doing this week?
Bit sleepy, but probably not as sleepy as you.
Oh, I got a big case of the sleepies.
Big case of the sleepies.
I know that this is how we start, like, half our episodes of this show is like, pretty good, but, sleepy.
Exhausted.
It's
that millennial mood.
It's that big millennial mood, but, like, particularly this week, I've just come off of 2 nights where I didn't really sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's been something.
Mm-hmm.
But we're here. We're gonna do a show.
Yeah, we're here. We're queer. We're
getting used to it. No, we're already pretty used to it.
Beer.
Yeah, we've had a pretty packed week of stuff we've done.
It feels like it, yeah.
I feel like we've gotten more media consumed than we do in some weeks this week.
I think it's helped that, like, we've got to that point in the year where the party season is starting to end and we're getting
You
more...
say that. We did have a party weekend this weekend.
We did in fact.
We
have a
lost
party
both our
weekend.
Saturday and Sunday to the fact that a party had occurred.
That is true.
But, yeah, I take your meaning.
Well, you say that, but, like, I spent most of my Sunday playing.
Yeah.
So we have that to talk about.
Yeah. Well, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, we went out twice for big dancey events this week. But, yeah, it's not been too bad of a
Yeah,
week.
but we saw things. We engaged in entertainment.
Indeed, we
And
did.
that's what this show's
We
all
engaged with entertainment. So should we start with what we've been playing this week?
Mhm.
Have you played many things this week?
They all involve one particular device. So shall we start with the device?
Yeah.
Device!
Yeah, so we've had a thing turn up at the house that I am in the process of reviewing. The Oculus Quest, which is a VR headset. We've talked about those before. Like you've used the PlayStation VR before.
That's the only VR I'd ever tried
Yep.
before.
That one requires you have to have a PlayStation 4 and a
Yep.
big cable running across
So
your living
many
room to
cables.
use it. And it's a bit complicated to set up.
Uh-huh.
And even then,
And then you have to go out and buy separate controllers.
yeah,
For it.
and you have to have a camera on top of your telly.
Yep.
And it doesn't do room scale, so you can't walk around in 3D space. You can
No.
only sort of be in a fixed location.
Yeah.
This is quite a fancy step up from that.
So much freedom.
So yeah, this This is a room-scale VR headset, and by that it means, like, you can set up a predefined space, and you can walk around, and you move your character around by walking in 3D space. You can pivot in 360 degrees around a scene.
You don't need those weird, like, standy bits in the corner of the room.
Yeah,
You don't need to cover the mirrors in the room.
Yeah, so I've done room-scale VR before, particularly the HTC Vive, and that was probably the first one that did room-scale VR, and it did it really well. But you had to have 4 of these sort of like tracking points on big tripods in the corners of the room, and they would fire off all these little LED, infrared lights that you couldn't see, and that was how it tracked. And the problem is you had to have all of the mirrors and windows, and ideally like any reflective surface like a TV screen, covered. Because otherwise they would sort of reflect off and it would throw the sense of where you were in the room. It occasionally caused some real problems with setup for that. But yeah, this doesn't need that.
Nope.
It's got cameras in the headset that face outward.
Yes, 4 of them, like, right round the edges of the front.
Yeah, so when you first set the headset up, you put a controller down on the floor so it knows where the floor is, and you trace around, like, the edges of your room to go, like, this is the space that is good to play in, and it remembers that space, and it'll put up these sort of force field walls if you get too close to stop you, smacking into your telly or something, or hitting a wall. It seemed to be pretty good at remembering that 3D space, didn't it?
It has. I redrew it, but basically, we had that little go of it with the table in the middle of the room as the table lived.
So we had this
pushed it slightly to one side. It was a bit like a couple of corridors.
Yeah, it was. You could play in these sort of corridors of space.
Yeah, and there was a few times where I found that a little bit oppressive because if you wave the controller too far, it starts to bring up the barriers.
Yeah, there was a lot of reminders of the real world.
Yes.
Whereas you cleared off probably like a 5 foot by 5 foot chunk of floor space.
But I think by clearing that, I made a lot more space way into that corner.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think at the moment we've got maybe like 10 foot by 10 foot total space in that room that can be used for VR. It's a little bit wobbly near the door because the door's there as well, but it's a really interesting thing. Like I played. I will go into first game. I played Super Hot VR.
Oh, that's such a fucking cool game, right?
It's an amazing game, and one thing I noticed is that if you happen to move about a bit in a scene, you might find that if you die, that it might sort of go, here's the thing you need to pick up to trigger the next bit. Yeah, and I'm going to put it behind you, so that you have space in front of you to do all of the things when we start. And, the only way I knew where I was in the room was feeling the rug under my feet, because the rug is only on sort of one side of the room.
It's really cool, this idea that it will rebuild the scene around you based on where in the room you are to start.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, one thing I wanted to note about that, the forgetting the room scale was one thing I was worried about it doing, but you messed around a bit with having a corridor outside of the living room. So
I took it into the kitchen and down the hallway.
Yeah, and it seemed to you had to boot the VR headset up either in that existing space or very quickly bring it in there after turning it on. But it was like, oh yeah, I know where we are. No drift, you didn't accidentally walk into the...
I've had no drift. The only thing I noticed is that the doors were a bit narrow.
Yeah.
But that's because we've got shit hanging on our door.
That's fair. But as you were saying, for Super Hot VR, I've played some of that on PlayStation VR, and it is one of my favourite VR experiences. So for anyone who doesn't know Super Hot at all, the idea is it's a first-person shooter or first-person combat game where the enemies only move when you're moving. And there was a version on PC where it's every time you move the camera, the enemies will move. You try and, fight everyone off before they get to you. Then you get to watch it back in real time. But in VR, I think it takes on a whole other thing, because it basically feels like bullet time in the Matrix. You've got, armies of people trying to murder you, and you're, physically dodging out the way of bullets. I remember levels from the PSVR version where you're slicing bullets out of thin air with swords. You feel like a real fucking badass.
You do feel very badass, and I also found as the game progressed, I was changing the way I played it more.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was okay, I'm going to have a sort of like scan around with just my eyes. And then I'm sort of going to look that way. Okay, there's a thing over there. Oh, there's a gun near me. Just going to reach out and grab that and also move to duck from the bullet that's about to shoot across me. By the end of the game, it had become much more fluid. I was like, okay, I can see a gun down there. There's someone attacking to my left. There's like 2 or 3 people slightly in front of me. So I was like, okay, clench fists, move that towards the person attacking from one side. And as they get closer, like, prepare to smack while reaching out with the other hand, grabbing the gun, lifting up and moving my whole body in a direction to get out of the way of the bullet and shoot somebody in the head.
There's one thing that I don't think people really appreciate about VR until you try it in broom scale, which is the ability to interact with things that you're not looking at based on your sense of persistent location and muscle memory of where things are.
Yes.
Like, Super Hot VR is a great game for displaying that, where, like,
you can punch someone in the head you can't see.
Quite often it'll be, I know someone's coming up on my left, I will start punching them while looking away, and I don't need to look at them to punch them. I can be doing something else with my other hand, or I can be punching someone with my left hand, shooting someone the other way with my right hand, and looking for the next threat in a different direction.
Yeah.
It really opens up how many things you can be multitasking at once. Because video games are always essentially boiled down to one point of interaction at a time. It's oddly freeing to be able to react to things you're not looking at and to know that you're hitting them. Super Hot VR. I only got like halfway through it on PSVR. I need to come back to it now we have room scale set up.
The only thing I would say as a content warning for that is there are 2 points in the game where it makes you shoot yourself in the head.
Yes.
So that might be an issue for some people.
That may be a thing. Thank you for doing the warning there.
I found it a little bit weird. Generally I found the game like, you know, like I know Super Hot from just the PC game.
Yes.
I don't think I played any of it on the PSVR.
Yeah.
But like then we moved on to like this one, and like I was used to the whole bit where it goes back to your little computer room and you put discs in the thing. The only thing that really creeped me is right at the very end. The directional sound on the Quest is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And so obviously it's booted me back to like my bit. It's taken the fake headset off me. And then there's just this really loud knock on the door to your right.
Yeah.
This is my deaf ear anyway, so I'm always a little bit more jumpy on that side. Like, open the door and this, like, pyramid just floats through. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, the thing... Yeah, we should probably talk about that. I don't know... I need to spend more time with it to work out exactly what they're doing, but I feel like it's not relying on your ear picking up sound waves to do its sound, because when you wear it, that sound is crystal clear, very directional and very loud. But when you're not the one wearing it, you can barely hear it, and I don't know how they're doing that. I don't know if it's one of those, like, induction speakers, like it's...
I don't know, but it's really impressive, and... Yeah, like, I've been... Like, it was very handy for Super Hot, for, like, hearing where bullets are coming from, or, like, as you mentioned earlier about, like, cutting bullets in half, when there is a level where there's, like, just 3 knives in front of you. So it's quite handy to sort of go, okay, grab both knives, hold one out towards where I know the other enemy is, and prepare to throw one at the person in front of me and try and grab their knife. And when you hear that sort of ching to one side, you know you've cut a bullet in half, and you might want to sort of like move ever so slightly just to see where the next bullet's coming from in that direction.
It's super interesting.
Super hot.
Super hot. So yeah, what else have you played on that Oculus Quest this week?
I tried the, what was it called, Pirate Demo?
Oh, Space Pirate Trainer.
Space Pirate Trainer Demo.
Yes, I need to get
It's a very short demo.
Yes, I need to get the full demo on there, but it's, for anyone who's not played it, it's a VR shooting gallery game where the basic idea is you've got your 2 hands can either hold 2 guns, or you can put your hands behind your back to turn your gun into a shield and have a big force shield. You can do that with both or neither. it's another dodge bullets, shoot at things, but this time in real time.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get on with that demo?
I was surprised how short the demo was. I would have thought like maybe a couple of extra waves or something.
Yeah, like I've played the full game and I need to get the full game sorted on there, but the full game has a lot more like different types of weapons and different types of enemies and it shakes it up a bit more, but
like before you actually go into the actual demo bit of the game, you do get a chance to go, hey, this weapon, you can set it to like 6 different modes and it'll do like a shotgun thing or a rail laser or like a machine gun.
Yeah.
Like, it was quite cool to sort of flick through those and then almost immediately goes, these guns do almost nothing right now, but here's this. And it's sort of nice to give you a vague idea. Like, if that is all the game, that it is just sort of a stand there shooting gallery, I'm not sure I'd be that interested.
It is basically that, but the thing that I think makes it interesting is it's 360 degrees, because most of this was focused on stuff in front of you. They make good use of room scale in that you have to be constantly looking in all directions, and that gets really interesting later on. I want to play more of it, and I literally just chucked the demo on because it was the first thing I found that was like, oh yeah, I remember this having fun shooting mechanics, and in the full game, it's very much it does the same sort of thing as Super Hot, where as you get deeper in, you need to be multitasking and like blocking bullets you're not looking at based on your just where you know they're coming from. It's a fun game for that, and I think it'd be worth you trying the full game, but even if the demo is a bit short. You did a bit of Tilt Brush as well.
I did do a bit of Tilt Brush.
How'd you get on with Tilt Brush?
I found the splatter function and immediately started drawing the Stone Monkey radio logo.
Oh, of course you did. Tilt Brush is just like a little bit magical, isn't it?
It is a little bit magical. I'd like to fiddle about with it a bit more. Like, there were things that I felt like I really would have wanted in any kind of art program, like a colour picker.
Yes.
Because, like, I did this thing, and now I want to go back and do that sort of thing again, but I'm really struggling to find that colour.
Yes. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Tilt Brush is a program made by Google, and it's basically a paint in 3D space in thin air tool. We talked a while ago about Labo VR and that elephant nose that you could use to sort of paint in, and it's basically the same thing.
But with that, you can move your arms more than about 2 feet.
You can move your arms further. You're not limited by the amount of virtual paint you can use, and you can view your creation from multiple angles, which like adds so much.
Yeah, I watched a video of someone using Tilt Brush like to paint whole scenes, and was like, "That's incredible."
That's a thing that I'm really fascinated by. Is like at some point I want to go and paint like all the boundary walls, so I have like, okay, this is my physical 3D space that I'm in, and then just like start filling the scene with things. And make like a whole like, here's a virtual little diorama that you can walk through.
Yeah.
It's I would love to see a more complete version of this where things like I would love to see a version of this that you could then export what you'd created into 3D modeling programs. Like, I would love if
Blender or something.
Yeah, like say you wanted to make a video game character design that you could paint your character in 3D space if you find that easier than trying to, abstract it with a mouse.
Yeah.
Export it into something like Blender and then have your base 3D sketch to maybe mess around with, export to something that can make a skeleton rig. Like, I feel like there was... Or
even the other way around, if you could, like, go... This doesn't look quite right on my 2D screen. If I could import this into Tilt Brush and then walk around it and go, I see, it's Uncanny Valley because blah.
Yeah, and then fix that thing and export it back.
Yeah.
It's... I feel like this concept has some real legs, and, like, I would love to see 20 years from now what this kind of shit is being used for. Because, like, that's a real cool thing. Probably. Yeah, should we talk a bit about the screen quality and stuff while we're here? Because
it's vastly superior to the PSVR.
Yep.
It doesn't have all the lines on it.
Yeah, it's got a much better resolution and refresh rate than the PSVR. It's also, as we said, there's no cables tethering it to a console.
You can plug you can play it with the power cable plugged in,
but you can play it unplugged, which is so nice. I hadn't realised how nice that would be to just not be tethered. in virtual space.
Yeah, it's incredible.
The
And
controllers...
also, once you've tried it untethered, doing it plugged in is just like, nah,
Yeah, it's
this
just
is not for me.
That's not right anymore, is
No.
it?
Been spoiled.
Well, how do you feel about those controllers?
Love They're nice, lightweight.
They got an analog stick, 2 face buttons, and then the sort of
vibration on
grip
them.
features. Yeah, they got good grip, good vibration.
Yeah, vibration. Yeah, so you got the 2 squeezies, the 2 buttons, and the analog sticks, and then you've got like your home button on either side. The only time I found them sort of out of position of tracking is if I'd been like moving one hand around an awful lot without looking back in that direction for a while.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'd have it, like, much further behind me, and I'd look down and I'd sort of see it basically at my leg.
Yeah. You occasionally need to just, like, every now and then bring it back in front of your face.
Or
just
look
so
in the direction of that hand.
Yeah.
Because, like, all the cameras are on the front of the VR, although, like, they're sort of on the front edge, so it's probably got a huge
some
field
good
of vision.
sideways field of view, yeah.
It can't see behind you.
No. It's not that it can't track the controllers there, it's just the longer they're out of shot, the less accurate it's going to be.
And that's fine. Like, I didn't really find that a problem. I just sort of looked down at one. I think it was super hot.
Yeah.
And I just sort of, I looked sort of like down out of one eye rather than moving my head
There's
down.
that uncanny feeling
And I was
of...
like, that's not where that is.
Yeah, my hand's not there.
And I sort of obviously moved the camera around and it went, oh, sorry. Well, the other thing that's quite good is, like, if you put the headset on first, and sort of look around going, oh, where did I put those controllers? It'll be like, we're over here.
Yeah. Well, see, I like that. On that same note, I liked the ability to see out what the cameras on the front of the headset were seeing when you set up the room scale.
It is a little bit uncanny, though.
It is a little bit uncanny, but, like, it's
sort of infrared vision.
Yeah, it's much better than the solutions of, like, okay, now take the headset off, trace around the room, put the headset back on, check that it just about did it right.
Yeah.
It's...
So if you don't notice how dark the room's got, you can sort of suddenly be like, oh, hang on.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Also, it's real nice to be able to just, like, pick up the headset, press a button, and it's on.
Yes.
And not have to faff about with, okay, is the console on? Is the console in the right mode?
Is everything plugged in?
Is everything else booted up? Like, it's quick as anything to get going. Yeah, what else have you played on the VR?
I had a go at Tilt Brush. I'm using that for aerobic exercise.
Tilt Brush, I think you mean...
Not Tilt Brush, Beat Saber.
Beat Saber,
I've been beating my sabers. What can I say?
We've talked about Beat Saber before.
We
it's
have.
that lightsaber music rhythm game.
Yep, it's still that.
It's real fucking fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also nice to do, like, the ducking and bobbing stuff with the walls when you've got no leads.
Yes.
Although I did sort of put the straps on for that because I felt like I was getting a bit vigorous.
Totally fair. Oh,
I love Beat Saber. It's good.
I was having a bit of a play of Beat Saber without the wires and things, and I had a passing thought. It'd be really fun to play that game like out in a field or something. But there's not only is there no things to worry about hitting as long as you've got someone with you to be like, watch out for this person, they're playing with imaginary lightsabers for a minute. But also fresh air while you're doing that heckin' sport. Yeah,
because by the time I'd done, I think maybe an hour of what's it called? Balearic pumping?
Yeah.
On fast speed. I basically put it on repeat until I got an A rank in it.
Nice.
Which took about an hour and a half. By the time I came out of it, I was just pissing sweat. I was like, I'm going for a shower.
Yeah. Of every VR game I've ever played, Beat Saber is the one that I work up a fucking sweat doing.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Like, I might just cancel my gym membership and keep playing Beat Saber.
I need to load up the other one of those games I've got in VR, which I believe it's called, like, Audio Shield?
I've heard of that.
I think it might be. It's one where you have, like, shields in both hands and you have to punch the music.
Punch the music.
You basically have to, like, the music is comets coming at you and you have to punch through them.
Cool.
Also, you know what we have to try with Beat Saber? Because this isn't on PSVR, we can load custom songs into it. I need to work out how we do it, but I've been told you can load custom songs into the Oculus Quest version.
Bass nectar.
Yeah, I guarantee if we search Bass Nectar Beat Saber, there will be some Bass Nectar tracks.
Bass nectar.
This is the thing I want to do this week. I'm going to work out how to put custom tracks in. You know what the first one in my mind was that I wanna put in. Because it was really fun in Audio Shield was the theme tune to One Punch Man. Because it's just a really badass like fucking anime opening of like I'm gonna be amazing, and it builds in such a way that it's real cool.
How about na 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 na?
That was the other. As soon as I started saying this will be the first one, I was like, but na 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 though.
But what about na 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 na?
Are you doing a look now to see if you can find some custom?
I'm looking at my Steam library because I know I've got a couple of VR games.
Ooh. Intrigue.
I think I've got Talos Principle VR.
Ooh. Because, not all VR games are supported on this yet. Like, this has been out, like, a couple of weeks. Like, it was, I believe, in August that it released it. It's not been long that the Quest has been out, and, it's still building up its library, but it's got some of the... I think it's already got some of the killer app stuff. It's got Beat Saber, Super Hot, Tilt Brush, which honestly are like the first three things I go to when showing people VR.
Yeah.
What else have you played in the virtual space?
Oh, I played virtual reality.
Oh, I've not tried that yet. I've been told it's got a Portal-ish sense of humour to it. That's all I really know about it.
I find it disturbing in a very different way, and with that in mind, I would love to play a Portal game in VR.
Yeah. So the idea of this is you're putting on different virtual reality headsets in virtual reality to go do lots of mini things. And there's some kind of unsettling background story.
Yeah, you're a human who works for various AIs. They will challenge you to do various things to entertain them. And there is this sort of weird story about the fact that you work specifically for this like grand AI. I think they're called like Chad or something.
Okay, it's another you are the human being toyed around with by the big non-human computery entity.
And as you sort of go along, you are discovering more about it. That like the fact that you have no freedom, that the fact that there is a union of humans trying to get rights for humans. There are various AIs who are more helpful than others, some that are very harsh, and then there is this whole unravelling thing, but there is this real dark underbelly to it. Yeah. Like, I've got to a point at the moment where there's this device that will just pump out different headsets, and depending on what setting you have it on, it'll be a headset for something completely different. And some of them are just like, here's a beach. Here's a beach, a couple of trees. Some of them might be like, oh, here is a completely white world, but there is a skeleton and a headset sitting next to the skeleton. Perhaps a human just happened to die here in this thing. There's ones that are like just sort of weird underwater places, and then you sort of do the sort of vaguely super hot thing, except not shooting yourself in the head. You grab the mask off of your face and go back to the previous level that you were on. Except you can't get out of the last one, because when you try and pull it off, it goes error admin only. And yeah, like as it goes on, it gets more and more like sinister.
Yeah.
And the way that, like, sometimes you'll just have, like, a headset that'll just make a beeline for you and fly straight at your head.
Yeah.
And sort of put you in a reality, and you're like, what's going on?
I'm really intrigued to try this. It's apparently not very long. It's somewhere in the 90 minutes to 2 hours range.
Okay, I'm nearly at that, I think. So.
Yeah, apparently. But, I'm intrigued. It seems fun. I'm up for more, like... I like the idea of you can play them in a single setting in a couple of hours, sort of experiences that are, can be a bit intense, but are sort of intense interactive experiences.
Yeah, I found virtual reality. Some bits of it are really unsettling.
Yeah.
Like there is a room you go in, like those like soundproofed rooms with all the spiky stuff all over the walls.
Yeah.
You can pick up this weird red swirly thing And initially you're just like, it's a weird red swirly thing, and you put it near the walls and you realise it's sucking everything in. So like all of the triangles on the side of the room start coming towards it, and the red lighting is slightly sinister. There's another mission where you're told you're not big enough. So the AI that hired you sends you back to Chad, and Chad's like, okay, I can sort that out. Suddenly you're like, oh, now I'm just stomping around, I'm bigger than or almost as big as Chad. And then you get sent back into that world, and suddenly, instead of being just like sat on top of a building going, wow, this place is huge, you're stomping around at building height, experiencing the thing, while the AI that was the electricity grid for the city is explaining, like, here is a beautiful day I experienced where the humans had a parade and this is what happened.
Huh.
And as you interact with the parade, the AI is telling you sort of more about that day.
This sounds fascinating, and I kind of don't want to know any more about it. I just want to go into it.
I won't tell you plot stuff, but it is really interesting. And yes, I agree with the sort of Portal humour sort of thing, especially the bit when you get to the lift and you're sort of flying past levels and you're just like, hang on, that's very like... is it the end of Portal when you're going up in the lift and there's or Portal 2 with the turret opera?
Yes.
So there is sort of that sort of style thing at one point, and you're just like, that's very Portal.
I'm excited to see. Have you played anything else in VR?
That is all of the VR stuff, I believe.
I think that nicely sums up most of my VR experiences.
That's everything that was installed, and you said not to install anything else.
That's fair, yeah, because I was just in the middle of sorting some stuff. But I've watched some VR stuff, but we'll get to that in the next segment when we get there. I've played a couple of things. Shall I rattle those off nice and quick? Let me pull up my list. Actually, I'm going to talk about one thing mainly this week, I think.
Oh, heavens.
I'm going to talk about Astral Chain.
You seem to be really enjoying that.
Yeah, so, Astral Chain is a new game by Platinum, who are the people who made Bayonetta, The Wonderful 101, Nier Automata, Metal Gear Rising. Basically, they make very tough character action games, your sort of Devil May Cry style. The combat system is the big draw. Yeah, it's try and be really fucking stylish and cool with your fighting of difficult enemies. And I tend to really enjoy their combat systems. They've had this sort of interesting relationship with Nintendo for a little while, where because they made Bayonetta, and it didn't sell well enough to get a sequel, and then Nintendo was like, hey, it's fine, we'll pay you to make a sequel for us, and since then they've been exclusive Nintendo Platinum games every now and then, and they've tended to be new entries, like new franchises that are a little bit experimental. The Wonderful 101 was one on the Wii U that hopefully will eventually see a remake of on Switch, where you ran around with a bunch of little Pikmin superheroes and you could like you could get your 100-odd superheroes to form like a sword or a gun or a big fist to do various things by combining themselves. So this is Astral Chain, and it's the new Platinum game. I'm going to get this out of the way. In name, you play as a cop. You're not actually a cop in anything but name. You're a interdimensional superhero, basically. I very early on in the game removed. I removed all cop branding from my outfit and was like, nope, not gonna think about the fact I'm playing as a cop.
And you also picked the gayest hair.
I picked the gayest hair possible. So it's set in a future world when 90, maybe 95% of the planet is uninhabitable. What is left of humanity is living on this thing called the Ark. This plays with a lot of anime tropes, like the, everyone is dead outside this walled city where we all live now, had very sort of Attack on Titan feeling vibes.
Mega City 1 from Judge Dredd.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, there are these interdimensional creatures that are attacking and destroying the planet, and some of them are basically invisible, and there's not much you can do about that. They're fucking, killing people left, right, and centre. And humanity realises, hey, we have worked out a way to capture some of these interdimensional beings and basically tether them to us and have them work on our side. And when that happens, we can see them, and there's like 5 people in the whole world that so far have been trained up to use these things. It's like, right, the 5 of you, basically the group of Power Rangers, you're gonna wield your they're kind of like stands from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You're sort of like, this thing is tethered to me and we sort of fight as one, my sort of invisible companion creature that has all these abilities. It's got a lot of Evangelion vibes going on. There's a lot of yeah, I will just say there's a lot of Evangelion happening. There's a lot of homages to stuff like Kamen Rider, Power Rangers. It plays off a bunch of cool anime tropes. But basically, very early game stuff. You and your 5 friends that have these big, powerful, you sort of... They're basically Pokemon. You're sort of, I've got the sword one, and I've got the one that's a big dog, and I've got the one that can punch good in his armour. Go into one of these portals trying to save some civilians, and all of your legions, these things you've got chained to you, once they're back in their world and you're trying to save these civilians, they break free of their chains, and it's very clear they do not fucking like being chained up. They do not like this at all.
I mean, that's fair.
Very quickly, they turn on you and start trying to kill you.
I mean, that's fair. You put police branding on them.
Totally fair. The character's logic very early on is like, it's very clear that this is not a thing that these things enjoy, but also they are massacring us. Like, we are being wiped out as a species like very efficiently. Yeah, it's this sort of, we feel like we have no choice but to do this thing that feels morally dubious.
Therefore.
Yeah. Of the 5 of you that can wield these things, 4 of them can't recover them. You manage to get yours back. Your dad stays in this other dimension to go like, oh, run, it's fine, you go save the world. And you basically become a Pokemon trainer trying to collect up these various spirits to use to stop the planet getting completely eradicated. It is stylish as all hell.
It's definitely got that sort of like Devil May Cry type fighting system with the, like triple S rank and
it seems very basic from the start. Like, I would describe the combat from the beginning as being very much like something probably most akin to Xenoblade 2 when you start off. You've got your weapon that is tethered to you that will auto-attack when it's nearby, and you've got your attacks that you do manually. There's a lot of growth and room to diverge in there, because by the end you've got 5 different beasts you can be controlling. Each has upgrade trees. Each has passive abilities that you can select to equip to it. You can give it extra moves that you trigger with specific buttons. On top of that, you can do things like you can move your legion around an enemy to tie them to the ground for a few seconds. You can warp to where they are or pull them back to you. You can sort of fire them at people to do attacks. Each of them has a special attack, so one does a bow and arrow, one can do a sort of slice across multiple enemies. The more I dig into this game, the more it's like, oh no, and you can do this, and you can do this. There's things like, if you summon them just as an attack's about to hit you, it'll do a parry. There's a lot of depth to its combat system, and it's super flashy, and like, as much as I've been loving playing it, I've also been watching a lot of Let's Plays of people play it, because I feel like there's so much on my first playthrough I've not twigged, and I've watched other people and gone, ooh, didn't realise I could do that. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on that, like, my big complaint is that the game does not do a good job of explaining its own mechanics. But that's also kind of fun, because it has led to a lot of, I thought
learning with other people.
Yeah, it's been really fun going through this for the first time as everyone else is learning all this too. There's a lot of stuff in the levels that's clearly not designed to be picked up the first time round. Like, you will see a lot of, like, you need this legion to go through here and you don't have it.
Maybe perhaps Metroidvania.
Yeah, it's doing the thing that a lot of Platinum games do, where they expect you to play it multiple times, where they're like, hey, we want you to come back and do this on harder difficulty once you have everything unlocked, you have the full move set, once you're a bit more competent. Usually they don't. I can't think of another Platinum game that has this explicitly dropped breadcrumbs all along the way to go, hey, when you replay this, there's content over there, there's content over there, there's content over there, that drops you a lot of reasons to come back and do that second playthrough, which I'm really excited for. Platinum games are usually fairly short, usually in the sort of 8 to 10 hours range for a playthrough.
Something to speed run, perhaps.
Yeah, this is a lot longer. Like, I've heard, I don't know if this is accurate, but I've heard people throwing around the 30 hours mark.
Nice.
And I think a lot of that pacing is that it's not as explicitly just combat and nothing else as a lot of Platinum games. There are a lot of segments that are things like detective work and open world sections where you can go and find side quests to do. For example, there was one where we were trying to track down this woman who was a target that we were following, and there was this huge big plaza, and there was like 15 or something various clues we could go find that would help with the detective mission. But along the way there was things like this person mugged someone and hid in the crowd, and we have a vague description of them. Can you work out which of these very similar looking people is the person who mugged someone? You can do... There's little side activities, like just go pick up trash and put it in the garbage.
You've been picking up an awful lot of trash.
You caught me at the moment where I was picking up a lot of trash. That was my side activity at the time. And like stuff like that shouldn't be fun. But they do enough, like... Going and doing things like, I'm technically a cop, I went and cleared up some trash I saw, gets you, like, upgrade points to upgrade your super cool mech alien. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll...
It's the new recycling program, you know.
Yeah, I feel good for having cleaned up this fictional town.
You have cleaned up this city.
I've cleaned up this...
not what they meant.
Yeah, when they were like, you're a cop, clean up this city, it's like, okay, I'm going to get rid of all the trash now.
I'm going to recycle.
Yeah, there's a lot of... Considering this is the first Platinum game I'm aware of that's run at 30 frames a second, it feels really smooth. Like, it doesn't feel like it's lost anything by the cut to 30 FPS. It's really solidly locked at 30 with no dips, either in handheld or docked, which is really important for a Platinum game.
Yes.
But, yeah, I am still chugging my way through this story, and consistently is doing stuff that is making my inner big anime nerd get very excited and have a very good time. Like, after the first mission, they played a fucking, like, anime opening with, like, flashes of who the characters were and, like, a song about how someone's gonna be a savior, and it's, like, doing all...
Lots of heavy metal guitar.
It feels like watching a fucking anime.
Nice.
The soundtrack's really good as well.
Yeah, the soundtrack that I've heard so far sounds really good. I also like the art style, that sort of, like... Heavy neons. Was it like Digital Devil Saga?
Yeah,
that sort of art style.
It's a little bit
with
cel
a bit of cel shading.
Yeah, it's. I really like their layers of the types of future tech they've got are the kind that I really dig. Things like they've got a helicopter that instead of blades, it's got a circle, and then it just sort of glows neon blue, and that somehow makes it float. And I'm like,
it's a Dyson Airblade.
It's kind of like a Dyson Airblade helicopter, and it's kind of cool. But yeah, like, the biggest compliment I can give this game, I think, is its opening mission that lasts maybe like an hour or so. It's like up until the anime credits have happened. Is unrelentingly good at setting its tone and pacing, and like that not only sold me on why I was going to enjoy this game, but it didn't missell it. Like, it wasn't, we've done all the cool shit in the first hour. Also, Platinum games like escalate really dramatically by the end, and considering where this one has started, I don't think I can imagine where this is going to end up. So
we shall see.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get further into it. It has been a real fun experience. The only other thing I want to talk about having played is I played more Yu-Gi-Oh! This week, because I'm continuing to push my way through making various decks and things. And I want to say thank you to Leah and Tabby, who sent me some physical Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards this week, because we were talking about last week hey, those decks in the video game...
Right.
A little bit random. Not so great. They don't really work on themes. That's a Blue Eyes White Dragon.
I know one of those.
There's 3 of them of different arts.
Some of them are shiny.
Yeah. So, for example, I've been sent this deck, and this has been the sort of theme I've been trying to do in the video game this week, which is putting together decks that all build towards a central goal.
Yeah.
So, like, for this deck at the top of the cards that I was sent, you've got Blue Eyes is the core thing you're trying to summon.
They're all shiny.
They're all shiny. You've got these monsters that they have 2,000 defense. That's just a good bog standard thing
And
when
it's
you
only
draw
one
it.
skull, so good to get
Yeah.
out.
4-star, 2,000 attack.
Oh,
So
heck.
again, if you draw it, it's always a useful thing. You don't
Gosh
have to
darn.
get anything to get it out. These are all cards that help you get blue eyes. Those get you blue eyes. These
There's
get
a
you
lot of
blue
shinies
eyes.
in here.
Yeah, these are all
I feel
1-star.
like this is a very expensive deck.
I'm very thankful for it having been sent. I do not know how much it cost. Yeah, these are all like 1-star things that will help you get blue eyes.
Mhm.
So they can always go out. You're not waiting to get them out. They get you blue eyes. This helps you get... A lot of these are just cards that help you get blue eyes. Cards
Yeah.
that once you've got blue eyes, let it do things. More things that
So
let
it
your
doesn't
blue
matter
eyes
what
do
you
stuff.
draw, despite the fact that you can only have so many of a certain card in your hand.
Yeah. And
Whatever
then...
you draw is going to help towards something.
Exactly. And then all the traps are just general, useful all the time ones. Like, if someone attacks you, destroy all their attack position monsters. That's a good
Nice.
thing for resetting the field
Yep,
back
yep,
to the start. That helps you get that trap so
I-
that you can
Yeah,
clear
I've
everything
definitely
out.
seen that one in the game.
That one does big damage to the enemy if they attack you.
Mhm.
Just good all-purpose traps. Like, that's the kind of thing I've been trying to do.
Exodia.
Exodia, yeah, there's...
Way back here.
Yep, somewhere in there. There's a Dark Magician,
Oh, it's Dark Magician.
some fancy Dark Magician art. Never seen that Dark Magician girl art before. It's really cute.
It's very cute.
But yeah, so I've basically
Oh.
these physical cards. I'm excited to have a mess around with
I'm excited.
because they're basically what I've been trying to do in that Switch game,
Yeah.
Legacy of the Duelist, is trying to make some decks that work towards, like, whatever I draw will get me towards my end goal.
Yeah, I feel like we should sleeve those.
Yes, I'm gonna do that soon. They are currently just in the box, but yeah, I believe there's the bases of about 3 different decks in there. So
Nice.
at some point we'll sit down and sleeve some
I'm very hyped to play a quote unquote proper game
of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go through one of them. You can pick which one you want to use, and then I'll explain, like, here's how all the things work.
Well, I feel like I've got a pretty good idea of how the things
Actually,
work
yeah,
now, thanks to playing the game.
Exactly. Have you played anything else this week?
No, that's basically it.
I played some Control. I'm not far enough into it to talk about it in depth, so I'll leave that till next week.
Is
so
it mostly surreal though?
it's giving me them good. I like Alan Wake vibes.
I didn't like Alan Wake.
I liked Alan Wake, and I'm enjoying this.
Okay.
But we'll get into that in depth next week. So,
I'm interested.
and I was gonna say until next time. Now then, time for this.
Do you have trouble remembering to do things at set times every day? Do you keep hitting snooze on your easy-to-ignore alarm?
Sure.
Try new Cat Alert!
Ooh.
By feeding your cats at the moment that you need to do the thing every day, in the place that you need to do that thing, you will no longer be able to ignore your daily obligation.
What if I have to get up a different time of day?
Unfortunately, you cannot set cat alarm to do different times, different days. They will only work at set times. However, if you wish to get up at 8 a.m. every day, without fail, this cat will, they will not let you sleep past 8 a.m. They will shout, they will scream, they will tunnel under doors, they will squeal at you, they will scratch until they get what they want.
Well, they sure are cute and fuzzy, so I guess it's okay.
That's new cat alarm.
I love you, Cat Alarm, you little fuzzy critter.
Well, I must say, after our little embarrassment in Spain, thinking we'd find some sort of region full of sherry.
Oh,
but,
yes.
didn't work, but I'm glad we decided to stop off in France on the way home.
Well, again, I'm not sure that we've necessarily ended up where we want to be.
Well, I've heard people talking about more sherry.
Yeah, more sherry, more sherry.
More sherry, they say.
And the problem is I keep saying to the waiter, more sherry, and he's
Yes.
not bringing me more sherry.
No, but he did keep winking at me.
Oh, indeed, he seemed very pleased by my statement.
Yes, but I want more sherry.
Yes, more sherry!
More sherry! More sherry!
See, every time we say more sherry, he comes over.
It does.
And he sort
It
of
doesn't
looks
bring
like-
us any champagne.
He looks very expectant.
It does, but it doesn't bring us any champagne or
Like,
sherry or
I
port.
was going to say, why would he bring us champagne? We're asking for sherry.
It's not bringing us any form of alcohol at all.
No,
it's very
more
disturbing.
sherry!
More sherry!
Oh! Someone's just told me.
Yes.
Let's try this one. One moment. More sherry, mon cherie.
Oh.
There we go.
Language barrier, dude.
Language barriers. Oh, goodness.
So then, what have you put in your eyes?
Not much really, because
No, same.
I put there's a thing I've kind of got in my watched list, but I guess we're putting in the listened list. I don't know which one.
It's more audible.
I don't know. I was up the front, so it was watched sort of for me. But the only other thing I started watching a YouTube channel I've gotten quite into this week. I've gotten quite into the YouTube channel Legal Eagle this week. It's one of those ones that just keeps getting recommended to me, and I thought I'll give it a go. The whole point of this YouTube channel is it is a real world lawyer, basically doing a lot of breakdowns of legal scenes in media. So he'll do a lot of like, here's an episode of a TV show that includes a big trial scene. Yeah. We'll talk about like, we'll talk about just what they've oversimplified, where they've sort of represented things accurately, where they've like, no, can't do it that way. It's been very interesting as well as very amusing.
And is this UK law or US? Or...
This guy practices law in America, I believe in LA.
Okay, so it's specifically to that state. So,
yes,
like so LA law.
It's he talks like, here is my understanding of law, but he'll also like, he will often refer to like, here, like, this is the case in this place, and this is the case in other places.
Because I know Austin talks about that kind of thing sometimes when he picks up on law stuff.
Yeah, he will talk about it from his perspective, but a lot of it is applicable, like, more broadly. But, yeah, it's a really interesting and just fun little YouTube channel. I was watching one today where he was talking about the episode of The Simpsons where there was a court case over Itchy and Scratchy. And I forgot how much I loved a stupid fucking legal joke in that episode that has been stuck in my head all week now, which is Lionel Hutz, the terrible attorney in that show, has a business card that says, it says contingency, no money down, which basically means, I'll work on the understanding I'll get paid from the other side's costs afterwards. You don't have to pay me any money up front. And then when they go in, it's like, oh no, I need $1,000. It's like, your business card says contingency, no money down. And he starts putting commas and things in it. And it's like, contingency? No, money down. It's just such a stupid fucking joke. It has been stuck in my head all week.
Punctuation, it makes all the difference.
Punctuation makes all the difference. But yeah, it will go through stuff like, he was reviewing some episodes of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, and the Ace Attorney games, for example. And it's an amusing YouTube channel I've been having some fun with.
Nice.
What about you? What have you been watching?
The YouTube channel that I've been watching is called Shut Up and Sit Down.
Oh, I've been watching some of that, actually.
Oh, heck.
It's
been really weird, because I had a Facebook memory from about 8 years ago turn up recently that mentioned Matt Lees. And Matt Lees is on that channel.
Yep, he is.
Like, well, this is a weird happenstance. Did Google just hear me mentioning Matt Lees and is now suggesting you like board games and you've recently mentioned that person?
Yeah.
How about some board game channel about reviews and there was like panel stuff from like board game convention stuff about how they make certain types of games. I've watched some of that. They've got a podcast on there as well. They've got a good few years' worth of content, so it's been interesting to sort of go, and what did you think about this game?
Yeah.
We fundamentally disagree, or I fundamentally disagree with that channel over the game Scythe, because I loved playing Scythe.
Yeah, Scythe is a lot of fun.
Their reviewer did not have a good time.
No. Well, that's it. I can't account for anyone else's experience with an interactive piece of art.
Indeed. But yeah, like, it's nice to sort of get more board gamey stuff. I've also been watching Dicebreaker, which recently launched.
Yes, I've been watching some of that this week.
That's Johnny Chiavini.
You may know him as the DM for the Ox Ventures D&D games.
Big fan of the Ox Ventures.
Yeah, he now do a YouTube channel about D&D.
Yes, with wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's getting colder, and I'm like, I can feel the board games coming.
They're on their way.
Well, that and the fact that there are board games literally coming.
Yeah.
Like, I keep getting updates about Streets of Steel, which went quiet for a little while. Very excited for that. I've mentioned before that War of the Worlds is due middle of this month, possibly in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I'm very excited for lots of the Kickstarter board games that are going to start to roll in that I was buying a year, 18 months ago. I'm very hype. So yeah, lots of board gamey stuff. Prepare to hear more about board games on this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's one thing we haven't watched this week that I think is a notable mention, because
Yes.
it's come out, but we haven't had a chance to watch it before recording.
Yes, and also I think it's good to give people like a week off where
Yeah.
as subtle as we might be, someone might go, but you spoiled a thing.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk this week about Steven Universe the movie, but we are aware that it is out,
Yes.
and probably tomorrow, maybe the day after we record this, maybe we're gonna watch it.
So Wednesday we will have watched it.
Yeah, so when you hear this, we probably will have seen it. Don't worry, we are going to talk about it at some point. Don't worry that we're not talking about Steven Universe the movie yet, but that is on our to watch list.
Indeed.
I think that's it for me.
I think so.
Well then, time for this.
Yeah. No, got a new sponsor!
Who's our new sponsor?
Are you a millennial?
Yes?
Do you struggle to afford things?
Yeah?
How would you like a special Loot Crate style thing where you get 62 meals delivered to you every month?
That sounds expensive. 62 meals is a lot of meals, and these meal prep services are usually like 10 quid a meal.
That's where you're wrong. This is Ramen Crate. They will deliver you 62 cakes, I guess, blocks. I'm not sure.
Packs?
Packs of ramen. That means you can eat ramen 62 times in a month.
Goodness,
Which means for the short months, you've got some left over, and for the long months, you've got enough.
I've got 2 meals a day out of that.
You might even get a breakfast at some point.
Goodness.
Yeah.
My word, and like, how many flavours are there? Am I just going to be eating chicken ramen twice a day for a month? Because that's what I'm expecting.
There are 72 different flavours, which means you might not even get all of the flavours in 1 month.
Well, you definitely won't get all the flavours in 1 month, because there's more flavours than there are packs in a month.
It depends. There might be a multi-flavoured one.
Goodness, I didn't know that was even an option.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you want to get the premium ramen pack, head on over to ramencrate.lol.net. Get yourself 5% off the first 3 months.
Goodness!
So not only are you getting 62 meals, you're saving 5% over the first 3 months.
Just my only quibble. You said the word premium. That sounds expensive. It's not expensive ramen, is it?
No, it's not expensive.
Okay.
They know their audience.
They know their audience, but they said premium, and I was worried it was going to be expensive.
Well, there are people talking about paying up front for the year, so that when Brexit happens, you've got all of that good food that you're going to have basically stockpiled.
A survival plan for Brexit that I can actually afford.
Right. So head on over to ramencrate.lol.net and enter the special promo code QNPS82. Heck, we're octogenarians.
Oh, wow.
And you can get some good discounts on those first 3 months. That's 5 whole percentages off. Ramencrate.lol.net. Try it today. Inside the boardroom of Electronic Actor Softworks.
Hi. How's the intern flogging been going today for you?
I mean, I've actually hired someone to do some of that for me.
Hired them? I hope by hired you mean picked an unpaid intern to flog the unpaid interns.
I mean, this is a school friend. His son is looking for some work experience, so kind of an intern, I guess. But they get to say they work for a big company.
Okay,
an executive
as long as
position,
we're not actually paying them.
No, and I've got like a whole live feed just here on my laptop, so I can watch anytime I want.
Yeah.
And, This kid is pretty good. I think this kid's gonna go places.
So, I've got I don't know if it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's I had my schedule laid out for today's meeting, you know.
Sure.
I've been brainstorming all morning.
Yeah.
New ways that we can hide our gambling mechanics in our games. Because, you know,
Uh-huh.
we want to put gambling mechanics in the game. We don't
Yeah.
get in trouble. You know, there's things like PEGI ratings that say that, you know, we're supposed to disclose this stuff up front.
Yeah.
And, you know, I sort of realized something on the way to the meeting.
Yeah. That's
There's-
not really a problem anymore, is it?
No, we don't really need to hide them. Because, like, look, we know that we don't need to hide them from PEGI. Because...
We got that whole Peggy 3 rating on that thing that has, like, literal, like, slot machines.
Yeah.
in
We
there.
got that. We had that game that didn't have gambling and loot boxes up front, and we put them in, and you know, Peggy was real slow to actually like update the boxes, and you know, we didn't get a fine or nothing. But like,
No.
yeah, there's that trailer we put out where it's like these loot boxes are literally slot machines.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
no
we
one
like,
has
goddamn.
stopped us.
No.
Like, I put that out as a joke. Like, when I sent that to marketing, I was like, if we put this out, you know, like, you know, the worst case scenario, you know, we say, oh, it's fine, we understand, you know, we'll just do regular loot boxes. It looks like we've compromised,
Yeah.
you know.
But we tested the water, and,
Yeah.
apparently that shit is just fine.
Yeah, you know, we tried popping them in the boiling hot water. It's like, oh, they just don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care if they're boiling alive.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what I do with my morning now.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it basically seems like the whole thing is unregulated now.
Like-
so,
Like, do we even try to hide it?
I mean, why would we? I mean, if that game is okay for 3-year-olds, we have the fucking market. We
Wow.
can conquer everything.
I don't know what to do with my day if I'm not finding ways to hide loot boxes and stuff.
Well,
Like, that's...
we'll just have to find new and interesting ways to be horribly underhanded and exploitative.
Power the game with your blood.
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ear?
Oh, should we talk about the thing I wasn't sure what segment
Let's do
to
the
put
big
in.
thing that's in this section.
We went to a gig.
We went to some live music.
Went to see some live music in London. We went to a gig that was 3 bands: Mobina Galore,
They were very good.
Frank Iero, and Laura Jane Grace.
Also very good.
Should we start with Mobina Galore?
No, they were really good.
Yeah.
I was sad that the audience was not really getting into that, it seemed.
It's the problem you always have with 3-act gigs is usually the opening act will have a little bit of a difficult time getting the audience up and moving, which is a real shame because Mobina Galore are great.
Yeah.
It is a 2-person female punk band that is 1 person on drums, 1 electric guitar, and 2 people like lead and backup. They are the lead and backup vocals.
It's like the White Stripes, but punk and good.
Yeah, like I am consistently impressed with the range of sounds that Mobina Galore manages with a single percussion and a single melody instrument. There's some very talented punk
Yeah, they are.
artists.
Although the idea of angry punk Canadians really feels like an oxymoron.
I know, and I'm pretty sure they mentioned that at some point in between tracks. I think they talked about like, yeah, I know, angry punk Canadians, but
I know they mentioned that they were Canadian because they did
Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Yeah,
I was
so they
like,
did a track about Vancouver.
it's a V word. It's not Vermont.
No, I believe it was Vancouver.
It was Vancouver.
But yeah, I've been a big fan of them for a while. Like, I keep seeing them pop up as support acts at various shows. Like they were the opening act for Against Me when they came around. When I saw them in Camden a while back. I believe they might have been an opening act for My Chemical Romance one of the times they were around. Like, they are a very solid opening act.
So a good tie to the other 2 acts we saw that
Yeah, and it's a real shame that like, I'm pretty sure I was the only person up and having a good jump, and
I was standing much further back for the
Yeah.
and in all of my peripheral vision, you're the only one that was even attempting to dance.
yeah, it maybe helps that I've seen them before and enjoyed them enough to go and listen to their music like elsewhere. So when they were playing, I was like, I know these fucking songs. I have these on my Spotify. I do a listen to them.
They were very
I
good.
can sing along with you. Track recommendations if you want to check them out. Not 23 Anymore is the one they opened their set with, because it is the one that like lots of people know and like. It's a good one to get a feel for their music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do an enjoy of them, did you?
I did very much enjoy them. I would definitely listen to them again.
Yeah, I'll send you some track recommendations of theirs. We then saw Frank Aero, who used to be of My Chemical Romance and is now doing his solo stuff. Crowd was a bit intense on this one.
Yeah, they're a bit more lively.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say about this. I've seen Frank Aero headline rooms bigger than this. And he's got a very dedicated audience. I think there was a very noticeable when he finished playing exodus of people who were like, no, I was here for Frank.
Yeah, that was weird.
That's always weird. Like, I'm like, you've paid for a night of music. Like, that all of the bands are probably going to be in genres you enjoy. Just stick around for the last one and see if you like them.
Yeah, I mean, I realise it's already 9:30 and perhaps some of you have got places to get home to, but...
Not in those numbers. Like, that's poor gig etiquette to have that many people exit before the headliner.
It felt very much like the comedy nights where, like, one person brings a ton of people and they all fuck off at the halfway point.
Yeah.
You put them on too early.
Yes, it's a weird thing when you see that, and like, obviously Frank Aero is a heavier, like a more sort of angry sound. Yes. I very much enjoy his stuff, but it was a lot of very overexcited people in that crowd, and
lots of moshing.
Yeah, lots of moshing.
Luckily, you were out of the pit. But
yeah,
I could sort of observe it from where I was. It was like, that looks like a lot of physical interaction that I couldn't handle personally.
Did you enjoy the music?
Less so. That's less my genre. Like,
totally fair.
I think if I was still me at 20,
yeah,
I would have absolutely loved it and gone nuts for it.
Yeah.
But I think these days I've got a bit more sedate and less angry.
That's fair. Like, I'm not necessarily angry along with the tracks, but I can appreciate that he's doing anger very well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And like in a very controlled and melodic way. Like,
absolutely, I can appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
It's not for me. That's fine.
Yeah,
have to be.
I enjoy the energy of Frank Aero in that, like, as much as I don't want to be in that pit, I enjoy knowing that it's there and feeling
absolutely.
like, for someone like me, like, I'm a big get front and centre, be in that crowd, lock my position in on the barrier and be like, I just want to feel that there's people having a good time around me while I watch good music happen.
And I am someone who likes to be sort of standing just behind that initial front crush of everyone who wants to be as close as possible.
Yeah.
And just sort of quietly observing and having a bit of space.
That's totally fair. I like that we enjoy music live music in different ways.
Yeah, we get to do the thing together.
I very much
ways.
appreciated you passing water forward to me when I couldn't escape.
Well, that's perfectly alright. I wanted to make sure that you got to keep the space you were happy with and got to stay hydrated.
Yeah, even if I did have my bottle of water kicked out of my hand by a crowd surfer.
It was one of the very few crowd surfers that came over that side of the crowd.
Everyone was crowd surfing to the right.
It was. I was watching like one person go over about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, that was the act where that was the act where I was having to most fiercely guard my position on the barrier, because I was having to do that thing that you have to do when you're a woman at a rock show, which is there will be that one man who shows up after, like, doesn't turn up early. Shows up, like, you know, maybe after the first support band is finished and goes, oh, the band I like is on, I'm going to get on the front barrier now, and tries to wedge his way up the front, usually at the expense of a woman. So I was very much, I want to do my good lock-in position, but...
using all your derby skills.
Oh, using all my derby skills to, you know, don't create an opening for him, don't let him get his hips in, don't let him get that arm past you. Yeah, I very much enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was good.
And then we had Laura Jane Grace.
Yes. And the Devouring Mothers.
Laura Jane Grace and the Devouring Mothers. So they didn't on this set play any Against Me music. They did this is basically the singer and drummer from Against Me, and they're one of their touring like album guitarists doing a little solo thing together. And they basically played their album start to finish, which, as someone who's been listening to that album for the last couple of weeks very excitedly, I really enjoyed.
It's nice to hear the live version thereof.
Yeah.
Nice.
I really liked, and like most so for like after some of the Frank Aero people had gone, but it was a very femme and trans and non-binary audience, which is just real pleasant for a punk event.
Getting into that venue, I have been in less queer queues at Pride.
Yeah, yeah, like
It was brilliant. Lots of like gothy emo types, lots of bright colourful hair, lots of cool band t-shirts. I was very ready for that.
It's the same feeling I had when I went to that Camden Against Me show. It is the safest I have and most welcome I have felt at a punk event like fucking ever.
Oh, that's
like,
definitely one thing also like about the mosh pit. Like people were getting really lively, but the second anyone hit the floor, everyone was like, "Stop! Pick that person up. Are you okay?"
Well, I think that's something that both Frank Aero and Laura Jane Grace have really nicely cultivated, because having seen them both play live before, they, in previous tours, have made really big deals at every venue they go to of being like, if someone falls in the pit, you fucking help them up. Like, they have made that a thing that their audience are very aware of, is it is not cool to hit someone when they're down.
Yes.
Like, fucking help them up, make sure they're okay, don't do any actual harm to them. This is all meant to be fun.
Yeah.
And I think that really shows.
Yeah.
But, it's nice to be at a punk night where it's not just sweaty cis men everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to be like, I feel safe.
I didn't even
there's
feel
some
threatened by any of the cis men I saw.
Exactly! It was just friendly and colourful and nice.
Yeah.
It was a very pleasant venue to be in, but
Also, I was wearing my anxious required space lanyard, and it was rather nice as I was coming in. One of the security guards sort of tapped me on the shoulder, which was a bit of a jump because I wasn't quite ready for anyone to make physical contact. And he was like, "I've just seen your lanyard thing. Just if anything happens in there, just grab any of the security guards and we'll help you out."
yeah,
Which I thought was really sweet.
I know, right? It was a really pleasant night of, like, if those three bands were to tour again, like, a year from now, I'd be like, yeah, I'll fucking go again.
Yeah.
That was a fun night.
Mm-hmm.
I really fucking lucked out as well, because I'd not made it front and centre barrier. I was a little off to the left. Fucking right in front of where Laura Jane Grace's mic was all night.
It was brilliant. I've got a really nice picture, and it looks like Laura Jane Grace is deliberately singing to you.
I'm like, oh shit, what up? It was... I haven't been for a good music night in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's really reminded me I need to go out and see more good
That's
live
why I was so
live music.
encouraging of the idea at all. Like, just go, do the thing.
I need to do that thing. Like, I think the next time I'm going to see some live music is I'm going to go see Ninja Sex Party in November, which should be really cool. So, yeah, I'm very excited to go see some music again. Have you listened to anything else this week?
Well, we listened to some other things together because we went to a house party.
Oh, we went to a house party!
A house party with like 9 professional DJs at.
Yeah, we know how to find a good house party.
Well, it helps if it's a house party organised by a DJ.
Yeah. We may have talked about this house party previously.
Yeah.
We know a DJ whose parents are like, yeah, we have a huge garden and we're happy for you to have all your friends for a party.
Yeah.
And it was real nice.
It was really nice. They had like a really long gazebo they'd set up with another gazebo on one end that they put in as the DJ booth.
Yeah.
And
a little bell tent set up.
I think there must have been like nearly 100 of us.
It was quite the thing.
It was weird because we were all sort of scattered around. There was like obviously people. There's always somebody hanging out in the kitchen. There were people hanging out at the top of the garden. People hanging out sort of like just on the grass. There were people hanging out like in the tent at the bottom of the garden.
Yeah.
People sitting around the fire, and then like me most of the night dancing in the tent.
Yeah. So who did we see doing the music?
I couldn't tell you everyone, but we started the evening with Ma Yeye, who does like sort of melodic progressive trance.
Yeah.
So that was sort of a quite nice set, because I've not really heard progressive trance played out in a while.
Yeah.
Most of the places we go to play like psytrance or just trance, or even tech trance in some cases. So it was quite nice to just have like a, you know what, let's have some weird noises and a consistent beat that's just interesting and curious and a little bit grimy.
Yeah, it was real nice, wasn't it?
It was really, really nice. There was a couple of DJs after that. Then we got DJ Jungle Chris on,
Oh,
who
yes.
did like a
real dirty
mostly
set.
grimy jungle set.
Yeah, it was a proper dirty set.
It was dirty toads. Who did we have after that? Oh, we had DJ Ryan C.
Oh, yeah,
Who did that was more sort of psychedelic trance, and then on after that was Spinney Lainey, who we saw at that festival.
Yeah,
the
we've
other
talked about them previously. They do music with flute over it.
week. She plays progressive. She plays psytrance and plays live flute over the top of it.
Yeah, it was quite a thing to have someone playing live flute in with the people dancing. Like everyone's dancing, and she's in the middle of the dancing playing her flute.
Yeah, because she realised she was struggling to hear because all the speakers were pointing straight out.
There weren't
so she
monitors set up.
No, so she just span the laptop round, came out and stood in the bit with us and played flute while listening to the music.
It was a beautiful sight.
Periodically turning around to mix. It was brilliant. So that was really fun. We got to listen to a lot of really good music and had a lovely time with our friends.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's one of the few parties I can go to without feeling anxious for days beforehand.
It was a really nice thing about this week's excursions out the house, is it was just some really nice safe places to go and do a... Okay, to varying degrees, but like, for a punk gig and a house party, that was like a very safe punk gig and a very safe house party.
I was doing a lot of overwhelming at the punk gig.
Yeah, I'm aware that Franco Hero got a bit much, but
it was all a bit much, like start to finish. Like there was moments when I was really struggling to be there at all.
I know.
But like it was a good night out. But like this was like the few events that I can go out to where it's just like I'm not thinking about it at all before I go. I'm just going to pick an outfit and I'm going to go and I'm going to hang out with lots of people I know, and even the people I don't know. I know they're going to be fine because they're with this lot.
Yeah, exactly. It's the kind of like I can 100% trust that everyone at this party is going to be lovely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is that everything you've listened to?
That is everything we listened to.
Well, I've got a few other things I've listened to. I'm going to try and rattle through them quickly because
Plug.
I did that thing where I went Spotify. I've not listened to new music in a while.
What the heck?
Give me some tracks. So I listened to Blood and Bones by the Blake Robinson Synthetic Orchestra, which is a really fun, upbeat, bouncy, sort of fun-sounding track. It's almost got like a jazz pop kind of sound. About someone who has no friends and sort of jokingly suggests they're going to try and befriend serial killers via pen pal letters. This week, Spotify seemed to really think that I wanted horror-themed music, like horror narratives in music.
Okay.
Because it also recommended to me What's a Devil to Do by Harley Poe, which their band is described as acoustic horror punk.
Okay.
So, no clue why I'm getting all these recommendations, but it was a sort of track about like on the surface, the lyrics are about this Antichrist type character. It was making me think a lot about Good Omens, but someone who is born to literally born to be evil, wrestling around with that a bit, but a little less literally seemed to be about doing stuff that's forbidden but not necessarily immoral, and knowing that there will be consequences for harmless indiscretions. Lots of talk about, hey, there are rules that exist and we're told that we're evil for breaking them, but, you know, even though they hurt no one, whereas there are actual acts of evil that, you know, are orchestrated by people that are, you know, they're not against the rules, so they're fine. It was an interesting little track. There was a track called Carl Sagan's Smoking Chair by Levi the Poet. I believe I've talked about Levi the Poet before. They do a lot of spoken word poetry and storytelling over music. There was an album of theirs I talked about a little while ago that was lots of sort of Moby Dick imagery and talk of adventures and things like that. This one has more of a sort of calm, almost psychedelic rock backing track under this spoken word poetry. Has a very similar, like, slightly mesmeric pacing to the way he tells his poetry. Lots of talk of trying to live a life that others will find interesting and memorable, not wanting to miss out on opportunities, not holding back from getting on and giving your life as fully as you can. It's a really nice little positive track. I want to go and listen to the album it's from at some point properly. Bury Me in Analog by Mischief Brew. It was a very sort of raw punk track that basically covered two topics. Like, half of it is him talking about he hopes his music takes off and is successful, but if it isn't, giving the world permission to basically just take his music after he's gone and put it out there for the world to use however they want, to remix it and remake it and make their own versions and distribute it as they like, because he's gone, might as well get it enjoyed by someone at that point. And the other half of it is a lot of critique of the idea of music agents having ownership of creative works and, music rights to music getting sort of handed off around person to person rather than music being something that we can all just sort of share and, be inspired by and, have our own takes on. It's just a sort of, angry punk that was a bit like, hey, you can do whatever the fuck you want with my music when I'm dead. Fuck this idea of agents owning people's music catalogues forever. That's bullshit. That was good. You might know this one. Bill and Annie by Chuck Brodsky, which I know from the Welcome to Night Vale weathers.
Oh, maybe then.
Yeah, it's this very...
Oh, is this about the peaches and the wedding and...
Yes. So, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a slow sort of acoustic guitar track about someone falling in love outside of a monogamous relationship on their wedding day. And, there's bits of this narrative that I, as a polyam person, look at and cringe a bit and go, just talk to your fucking partner about it, and,
right.
But it's this bittersweet track of basically... This person gets married and realizes on his wedding days, as he's gotten married, he's in love with someone else, and both of the two people are they're responsible about it. They're like, hey, we've married people, we love these people. It's not that we don't love the people we've just married, and they stay faithful. They don't, cheat on their partners. They stay friends, and every now and then they just sort of talk about what could have been. Did they make the right choice? It's
Doesn't
this
sound super healty, but
no,
okay.
it doesn't sound healthy, but what I like about the track is that it's how do I put this?
It's an interesting story about a life.
It's a well told story about a life that, whether they made the right decisions or not, it feels very human. It feels like the kind of thing that probably does happen, and I really like that. The lyrics and the music both do a really good job of capturing that same bittersweet tone of the positives and negatives happening in their lives, and the fact that they're happy for themselves and they're happy for each other, but they're both just that little bit of, but what if though? And I feel like the music underneath the lyrics really catches that really nicely. I don't agree with the actions of the people necessarily, but I think it's a really beautiful piece of storytelling. So I've always liked that. Brand New Bad News by Glowbug. Sorry, I'm nearly done with my big list of tracks. Didn't realise how much I'd listened to this week.
Good.
Sort of a mix of fast, high, floaty, upbeat, almost sort of magical, twinkly synth, with heavy rock guitar placed over it.
Nice.
Very much in deliberate contrast. Initially, the two contrast each other quite dramatically, but it sort of builds to this real crescendo where the two start to mesh in really nice ways. A lot of the lyrics are about uncanny feelings that something's not quite right, and that sort of mixing of sounds really helps to enforce that. I think I've talked about this one before, but I went back and re-listened to Garfunkel and Oates' track Such a Loser.
Don't know if I know that one.
So, Garfunkel and Oates is a pair of female musicians who do generally comedic tracks, usually. And this is one of my favourite songs of theirs. It's really sweet and beautiful. It's the two singers talking about putting a positive spin on being a loser. They talk about the fact that it's hard, if you fail real hard at something, and you keep doing it, that is something that should be applauded, you know. Really big public failures only happen because you aimed really high and were trying to do something. It talks a lot about, and this is something that, like, I kind of really resonate with, is ignoring people on the internet who make fun of you for failing at stuff. Because you go, I at least tried. I did it. I was a competitor. You're a spectator. You're sitting on the side watching. You know, that's easy. Getting up there and trying, even if you fail, like, that's hard. You put yourself out there.
Yeah.
It's basically just, hey, be proud of losers because they're fucking trying.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's kind of bittersweet, but it's a really reassuring track sometimes to just go, even if you fuck up, you're at least trying. And that's better than the people who aren't trying at all. Yeah, it's just a beautiful track, and I really recommend it to anyone that sometimes goes, hey, I'm trying to do a creative thing and I sometimes feel like I suck.
What is it they say about the master has failed more times than the student has ever tried?
Yeah, exactly. Is this okay? I've got 2 more tracks, I think. All In Together, G&T remix by Professor Elemental. So this is a Professor Elemental track.
What's the G&T remix?
I haven't listened to the original track recently enough to know the difference, but mainly my thoughts were about the lyrics, which you will be aware of because you know this track by Professor Elemental. Professor Elemental sounds like a sort of posh British man doing rap. Is that a good way to describe him?
It's chap hop.
Yes. And it's basically just this beautiful little rap about how everyone's weird and fucked up, and there's no such thing as normal, so
There's no such thing as normal. Everybody's weird.
Exactly. So embrace what makes you feel, what makes you unique. And he throws out some specifics. He'll throw out things like, what kind of art you make, your appearances, who you love as, what fetishes you have. Just go out and enjoy what you love, and don't let anyone stop you. You know, have more work, have more fun, do less work. The idea of being grown-ups is imaginary. Just be silly and have fun. It's a real lovely little track, isn't it?
It's for a while I thought it was going to be the anthem to my life.
Yeah,
but I have recently had issue with Professor Elemental and stopped following.
I didn't know. I'm not up to date on whatever has occurred.
You can't. It's
No.
difficult to keep up with
That's
everyone,
fair.
and if you don't follow these people in the first place. But
No.
it is a really good track.
Well, if you want a track that has a similar lyrical energy, but isn't connected to that artist, perhaps, I would recommend Normal by the Homeless Gospel Choir. It's a little more punky in sound, but it's very much, again, a sort of just... Don't care about being normal, just fucking be you. And, I'm always a fan of tracks on that vibe. Are you looking up lyrics to it?
There's some really good lyrics in that track.
Yeah.
Don't be beaten by the bullies or the bigots or the bosses or the system or the sods in all their boxes in offices. Don't let the silly sausages say your mission is preposterous. Accomplish it, and if they demolish it, repolish it. Climb to the top. Life is yours to conquer. Plant your flag. Roar like a monster. Hooray for small joy. Rise and shine. Make time for relying. Make time for wine. Make time for fine nights. It's our ship to charter. Nobody's on their deathbed wishing they worked harder. More wagging, less barking, all in the spotlight, none in the margins. More unicorns and a lot less trolls. We'll never rest and we'll never get old. We'll never get cold with the air so fresh. Just be you. I'm incredibly impressed.
Yeah! I might do a couple of lyrics from Loser as well. I'm a big fan of just tracks that are, like... You're humiliated, hollowed out, and exhausted. You were in the ring, fighting the fight, and you lost it. This isn't your time. This wasn't for you. At least you did everything that you could do. It's just like, hey, things go bad. Hey, you fucking tried.
Mm-hmm.
It's just beautiful little track. Just you are such a loser, and here's to you because you deserve a cheering section too.
Do a try. That's the important thing.
It's lovely. I've got one last track. Runs in the Family by Amanda Palmer.
Got some Imodium for that?
So it's this really fascinating, frantic, vocal pacing and tone. Like it's one of those songs where the vocal line sounds very genuinely like the singer is sort of distressed as singing, and sort of a little all over the place, a little disjointed in a way that's really interesting to listen to. It's got a melodic version of like a femme punk vocal line singing about initially about inherited illnesses, but more specifically like there are things about yourself that, you know, you inherit, that you are born with, that you can't really run away from, and learning to live with, you know, be it illness or be it something about yourself that just is. You know, you might not be happy that it's the case, but you've got to find a way to live with those things sometimes. Really, really interesting little track. I believe it's off the album Who Killed Amanda Palmer, I think is the name of the album.
Who did kill Amanda Palmer?
Who knows? So I think that's everything I've listened to.
Well then, time for this.
You want some of that?
Yeah.
So, did you know?
Yeah.
You know that, like, stress slime and foam slime and various different slimes what you can get, yeah?
Yeah, you know, there's like for kids, but also like stim aids for adults and stuff. Yeah.
And like it's been around since the 80s.
Yeah,
It used to be a bit more neon sometimes less.
Yeah, it used to lean into the gross out angle a bit more.
Yeah,
Now it's a bit more low, isn't it? Fun and cute.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's a thing. It's been going on for a while. But did you know where that slime comes from?
I thought it was PVA glue and contact solution in it.
That's what they want you to believe.
Oh
right?
yeah.
But what they actually do, they're siphoning it.
Yeah.
Off of that alien, what they got from Area 51.
That seems like a big old risk, you know. What are they getting out of this if they're, you know, risking letting an alien go out?
Well, the thing is, like, the alien was getting too big for containment.
Oh, yeah.
And they had all this waste product they couldn't do anything with. So what they started doing was pasteurising the slime as it came off and then selling it on. And depending on like where in the month we are, we get different types and colours of slime. So you might get the more foamy one, and then you might get the more like drippy one.
Yeah.
And then you get the one that sort of all sticks together mostly in one piece, but is still a bit sort of weird and drippy. And it's basically just alien sweat or maybe feces.
Yeah. So like, what's the end game?
Well, I mean, theoretically, the problem emerges when the entire surface of the Earth is covered with this pasteurised alien feces or sweat. And, like, maybe that could be, like, a message to the other aliens that they need to get help down here and save that one. Or it's a warning to the aliens to stay away, because look what we've done to the other one.
Or maybe.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get us used to the idea that aliens are actually not that bad. They're quite fun.
Right.
They're our friends, you know. They're afraid if they say that they got an alien, you know, there's going to be mass hysteria and panic, and they're just open, hey.
Like, actually, everyone,
they're made of that fun slime you like.
yeah, you know.
Aliens brought you slime for the last 20 years. You like slime?
Yeah.
Aliens
yeah,
are your friend. Don't rip them apart for more slime now.
Well, yeah.
So, how was your weekend?
Oh yeah, I've had a nice weekend away.
Yeah.
I was off seeing my timeshare.
Oh yeah, how was the timeshare?
Oh, it's lovely. You know, have I told you much about this timeshare?
No, is it a nice beach place or something like that?
Oh no, nothing like that. No.
In the forest.
No. It's actually
Mountains?
it's actually just down the road. It's really not very far from my house. But
Okay.
me and my friends, we went in on this timeshare. It's not about the location or anything.
No.
All we actually wanted is just a house full of all those childhood knickknacks that we sort of wanted, and
Like Hopper Poppers?
yeah,
Spooky Dokies?
little Power Rangers, your Transformers, Polly Pockets, all those sort of things.
My Little Ponies?
Yeah, exactly. The stuff that I didn't have money for as a kid,
Mhm.
and I don't have space for as an adult.
Right.
And even if I did have space for it, like,
Some of those collectibles are quite expensive, I guess.
yeah, exactly. Like they're pricey these days.
Mm.
Like even with money, like I can't afford to spend all that money to have stuff that I'm gonna use like twice a year.
Huh.
But like, if I pay enough to just have a weekend away every now and then, where I can just go play with all those toys that I wanted to have as a kid and not have to worry about storage space, that's worth it to me.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah, just chip in a bit of timeshare on it, and it's perfect.
Ah.
It's right near home. I don't have to worry about going far for it.
Is there a My Pet Monster?
There is a My Pet Monster. There is
There's
indeed a My Pet Monster. There's an Etch-a-Sketch.
Light bright.
There's some Light Bright with a bunch of lights. There's a bunch of Lego. There's a whole room with a bunch of Lego.
A whole room full of Lego.
Yeah,
I'll be sure to wear my slippers.
There's some bull pit balls and everything.
This sounds just magnificent.
Get a fucking beach. Stupid
Yeah,
beach house.
Fuck the beach. Give me a Gen 1 Transformers. Question time. Let's have a questions.
What's the questions?
Lucy would like to know, if a Venom-style symbiote attached itself to you, what would your costume look like? Tentacles? Just lots and lots of tentacles.
You're just writhing massive tentacles.
Please.
Ooh. I don't know. What would I look like?
Butts.
I'm just covered in butts, am
Covered
I?
in butts and a boob window.
I don't have a better answer than that. Yeah, fine. I'm covered in butts. There you go. It's the butt symbiote.
Butt queen.
I'm just a big butt now.
I like that, and I cannot lie. Listener question from Larry Yellingman. Conduit of awkwardness itself. Would Laura be interested in doing a Dice Funk Season 5 spin-off about Captain Melbeck going off on smoochy adventure with characters, with a character I make, and maybe Lauren?
I would totally be up for an offshoot season where it's just smooch of the week.
That series would be so damn horny.
Just every
So horny.
episode is like an hour and a half of, okay, who we gonna try and kiss
Who
this
are
week?
smooching this week,
Who is
everyone?
smooching this week?
Who's it gonna be?
On the explicit understanding that the DM will just be like, the other end will be consensual every time. It's always like, no, this is a person who...
Yeah, there's no role to
Through,
persuade.
through the magic of DMness, you know that this end target will be into the idea of being with you.
Yep.
You just have to work out, how do you get there?
Mm-hmm. Kelladry would like to know, what are your thoughts on thunderstorms? Thunderstorms are awesome!
Thunderstorms are awesome when you can watch them from the safety of indoors and you're not in the middle of a podcast where you're terrified that your electrical system's going to get fried.
Or if you can be sort of out somewhere where you're undercover and you're not going to get zapped, but you can sort of feel the rain falling,
If you-
like at least on one side of you.
If you can experience it from a position of safety where, there's going to be no negative impact of it happening,
like a porch or something.
they're real fucking cool.
Yeah. The good soft Freb, agent of kind. I think that's kind. It's cut off. Unfortunately, it's too short for my thing.
That would make sense in context.
What makes you do Happy Wiggles?
What makes me do happy wiggles?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, happy stimming, happy wiggles. Planes, going on planes, and sometimes watching trains from bridges above them, watching trains go under bridges. Because I am a big cliche of a person on the autism spectrum. I don't know, what else makes me do happy wiggles?
particular gifts. I've seen you get
Yeah.
happy wiggles from certain presents.
I will sometimes from a particularly thoughtful gift have a bit of a happy wiggle. I will sometimes get happy wiggles about music. Like if there's a band that I'm really, really, really into and they put out some new music and I just get an opportunity to sit and listen to a whole bunch of new music from some people I really like, that sometimes makes me do big happy wiggles. Can't think of any other examples off the top of my head, but those are the first ones that come to mind. What about you?
Seeing my friends succeed.
Yay.
I very much like that. It's like, yeah, you did the thing.
Mhm.
Go you, having us succeed. I like this. More of that. Becky Two-Hill. Hi, Becky. We'd like to know, if you had somewhere for it, what fantasy animal would you want as a pet / familiar?
Ooh.
Rainbow Battle Lynx, obviously.
Of course, Rainbow Battle Lynx. Go for like Falcor from The Neverending Story. Big, cuddly, lovable friend that you can have a conversation with that can also fly you around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gotta find a space for our friend Falcor.
I don't know, I feel like Falcor's a bit doggy.
Yeah, but I also feel like he's got enough sentience to avoid the things I don't like about dogs.
What was the Sky Yak from...
Oh, Upper.
Upper, yeah.
Upper. Yeah, from Avatar The Last
Yes.
Airbender, yes.
No.
I could go for Upper.
Upper was very cute.
Upper was very cute. Yeah, let's have Upper.
Yeah. Temptress Laviolette would like to know, if you could own one fictional spaceship IRL, which would you choose, Snallygaster?
Okay, the Snallygaster, it's either that or the Normandy from Mass Effect.
Enterprise D Refit?
Ooh.
The one from All Good Things with the extra cannon under the saucer
Yeah,
section and the
that's-
extra warp nacelle?
That's pretty fab.
Yeah, I think probably that one.
Yeah,
That's
I can't
probably
think of
the
any
most badass I
more
can
that
think
jump
of
to
as well.
mind.
The Firefly?
The Firefly's a pretty cool choice. The Millennium Falcon had, here's the thing. I like the idea of the Millennium Falcon mainly
Yeah.
because the interior looks lived in.
Also,
Like-
it's not super huge, so it'd
Yeah.
be easy to clean.
It's not super huge, and it's also not, super pristine. I wouldn't be afraid of, scuffing the floor.
Yeah.
It's the kind of place where I could chuck a bag
It's not
down
like
on
the
floor
Death
and-
Star, we're like, no, I don't want to scuff the
Oh,
floor
yeah.
with these
It's
trains.
like, I could chuck my bag on the floor next to the table where the hollow chest is, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine.
Exactly.
I can leave my bag on the floor, it's cool.
Yeah, I guess that one's okay. 3D Printy Boy wants to know, if axolotls could make a cute sound, what sound do you think they would make?
I'm imagining the sound of a kitten doing a little mew, but underwater, so there's a little bit of a mew followed by a couple of bubble sounds. Yeah, that's an axolotl sound.
There you go. That is all the questions. So then, time for this.
Ooh.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Well, I want to see more, Brocial Justice Warriors.
Special Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
Alright, Larry.
Right, Eric, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Struggling to reach quite the octave I was hoping for.
Yeah,
there,
it's
but
alright,
I seem
it's
to have
alright.
reached it now.
We're in the right vicinity.
Yeah.
How you doing this week? Yeah,
Yeah.
an all right one.
Yeah, well, it's the world remains as it is. The looming peril of the looming spectre of Brexit. you know.
Once again, sort of just trying to ignore the fact that it's all going down in a handbasket a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, and it doesn't help that there's been, the community as it exists online has been there's been some problematic issues this week. Someone was saying about how they felt that a round of pronoun queries in a group was unnecessary, and we've got whole groups of people who are desperately trying to get more of that.
Yeah.
And this person's like, well, I should be exempt from having to be involved in that. Well, not only are you a trans person, but you are, you don't know who else is in that room.
Yeah.
Somebody else could be non-binary. You might find that you
someone's-
might assume that everyone
Yeah.
there is cis, but that's not necessarily the
Well,
case.
even if there are there are other trans people in the room, you might assume that their gendered presentation will tell you what their pronoun is. They might have a non-traditional presentation,
Exactly.
for example. Look, I actually had a really nice experience with that this week. I went to a rock event.
Yeah.
I was sat in the queue. I got talking with some people, and we barely started talking, and someone went, I'm so and so. My pronouns are this, and we ended up, it was a very normalised moment. Everyone went round and, as they said their name, just threw in their pronouns because it might seem obvious, but it costs nothing. It's such a simple thing, and it's not
and
like
also just like normalising that in such a way is so good. And just describing people who do it as, being hyper woke.
Oh no,
it's
not,
just like, even so, like, what is wrong with being hyper woke?
again. It's like who is it in any way, shape, or form hurting to say, hey, these are the words I would like you to use when you refer to me. In it takes less than a second.
Exactly. And also, like, people change. You might not have seen that person in a couple of weeks. You don't know what has happened. They might be using that moment as their time to sort of actually go, I'm coming out.
Do you mind if I use this one? Yeah.
Yeah, or even, like, experimenting with pronouns.
Yeah.
If, like, you are, maybe on the verge of maybe coming out, or, like, there was that celebrity gamer, who recently came out using some non-binary terms there, and it's, you don't know who can change suddenly, what's going on with someone, it costs nothing, it hurts no one, and you pissing and whinging about it, not you, obviously,
I
but,
know.
these people pissing and whinging about it, like, you are actively harming your own community.
It's why I've always appreciated when people who are not trans or non-binary will normalise putting pronouns in their bios on social media. It normalises it to a point where the fact that you have put your pronouns in there doesn't necessarily have to out the fact that you are a trans or non-binary person, for example.
Also, I found that checking for people's pronouns within their bios tends to weed out a lot of the dickheads.
Yeah, like, weirdly, if someone puts their pronouns in there, there's a good chance that they're a thoughtful person.
Yeah.
Which is, usually, it's not foolproof, but it's a nice indicator.
No, it's like the diametric opposite of seeing gender-free on there.
It's the opposite of seeing someone use a frog emoji in their Twitter bio.
Or the checkered flag.
Oh no, don't get me started on that.
Let's not, shall we?
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what we could do?
Yeah.
Would you be interested in a hug?
I would.
Yeah, let's have that hug then, mate. That is a good hug, mate.
Yeah, it's good to make time for those platonic hugs.
Absolutely. So, can I interest you in a cup of tea?
Yeah, I reckon you can.
Yeah, I'll put the kettle on in, mate.
Yeah, we'll have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Laura,
Yes.
where can we find you on the internet, darling?
Laura K. Buzz in all of those places.
All of the places.
Laura K. Buzz on Twitter. Laura K. Buzz on YouTube. Laura K. Buzz on Patreon. That's what pays the bills.
On Twitch.
Laura K. Buzz on Twitch. Laura K. Buzz Store. That's where you can get the Uncomfortable Labels audiobook. You can also get it as a physical book, which is out now. We've had a reprint, so it should be back in stock in places that have physical books. It's about being trans and on the autism spectrum. You can also find me on Dice Funk. You can find it's a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. I'm on seasons 3, 4, 5, and 6.
I was on one of those.
Yeah, we will talk about that one in a second. You can find all of my stuff on laurakbuzz.com. There is Pixel Squirt, where I review anime, video game, porn. There is Tonal Whiplash, where I interview people with serious and silly questions. That's all I can think of right now. What about you?
Me, I'm on Twitter as Maniac Janiac. I'm on Twitch as Maniac Janiac, where I stream sort of mainly Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm on stonemonkeyradio.blog, where I write things. You can read things because I've actually got around to writing things recently. Patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. If you want to help do a support of me, I would super appreciate that. If you pay, I think it's like $10 a month. It could be $15. You get early access to Queer and Pleasant Strangers. As soon as I've finished editing it, you get a copy. Ooh. What else is there? Also, for people who've been following, if you support me right now at any level, you will get the Festy Quest text adventure that I've been working on for a couple of months. I reckon that will be finished and ready for playtesting at least by the end of, or the middle of next week, I think at the latest. So look forward to that. If you're interested, you have a chance to get in. That will be going to Patreons for free for the first 3 months, and then I will sort of do a general release for all the people who want a copy. Where else am I? PayPal.me/JaneMagnet if you want to do a support there. I'm also on the Curiosity Epidemic Network. We do Badly's Designated Heroes. All of that is moving over to SoundCloud.com/JaneMagnet, where you might be listening to this now. Because we couldn't be bothered to play for 2 lots of hosting.
Which is totally fair.
And the next series will be polyamory. We're going to do a series of polyamory. So I guess it makes sense to stick with the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So yeah, check that out and get ready. We will be coming back soon. I think Badly Designated Hero Series 1 wraps up. I think there's like 1 more episode left to go up of what we've recorded. It's weird because that was over a month ago. But yeah, that's all the good stuff. I think that's all the good stuff. So Laura, darling, sing us out.
Until next time, be a stranger.